to the Stop Over Drinking and Start Living podcast, where high-achieving, goal-oriented rebel women come to learn how to live a vibrant and fulfilling life without requiring alcohol to get through it. No labels, no judgments, no saying you'll never drink again. Just real proven methods to help you stop rebelling against yourself with alcohol so you can drink less and do more. I'm your host, Angela Mascenik. Let's dig in. I want a sugar. I know you like it. Welcome to episode 291, Friendships. Hey, I'm really excited about this week's podcast episode. I have been joined by my two greatest friends, Josh and Dan. We are actually on a trip together in the Olympic National Park, and we've been talking so much about relationships and long-term friendships that I invited them to come on the podcast with me. And we had an amazing conversation about navigating long-term friendships, changes with alcohol, and all the things. So I hope you enjoy.
IOU.
You guys are crazy.
Hello.
Okay, you got to put your phone down now. We're recording.
No.
Yeah,
I'm
we
not
are.
ready to start.
Yeah, put the phone down. See, you guys. Sometimes it takes somebody in charge to lead this group. That's usually me. I'd like to introduce Josh and Dan, two of my very closest friends. Say hi, guys.
Hey, how's it going? This is Danny.
Hey, good morning. This is Josh.
They're a little bit nervous. Have you guys ever been on a podcast before?
No.
I have not. No, my first time.
Yeah, this is exciting. It's a first for everything.
Though, I do have the radio history, though.
Oh, yeah.
That's right,
Tell us about that a little bit.
Well, when I was working part-time, I was always interested in broadcasting, and I had a friend that was working at a radio station, and I'd go in and watch them work the board and stuff like that, and then eventually I worked to getting a little show on the radio station.
What was your show?
Well, I did a couple different ones. I was on a top 40 radio station. My name was Brody.
Brody.
And then I was on a country radio station. My name was Lance.
And so you were like the DJ?
Yeah.
Or
I would talk, and then it was all pre-programmed music, but you'd push the buttons, and then I'd do the little segues in between.
Did you have an intro?
All the hits, Radio Now, 93.1. This is your man, Brody.
Woo!
So some fans from Indianapolis might recognize you.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. Wow. Did you have any history in broadcast?
I don't. I have more of a face for TV, so.
Wow, they always told me I had a face for radio, so I guess,
Oh my God. So I wish you could see us all. We're in a hotel room in the Olympic National Park together. We just spent a couple days doing some serious hiking.
Great hiking, yeah.
And deep conversations.
Yes.
Lots of laughing. Yeah. So I thought it would be a great idea to have them on the podcast and talk about friendships and relationships, because a lot of times when you all are trying to change your relationship with alcohol, you worry about your friendships changing or your relationships changing because part of your relationships was drinking a lot, right? So I thought it would be really fun to bring Josh and Dan on and talk about not only the drinking stuff, but what does it take or what does it look like to have long-term relationships that are successful and where people are growing together and maybe navigating difficult situations. And we've all been friends for about 25 years. So needless to say, there has been ups and downs, right?
Bump here and there.
Yeah. And it's been really interesting to kind of reflect on that the past couple days and observe and remember how we've navigated some of that stuff. And I think it all comes down to communication and being honest with each other. But
100%.
Yeah, we'll talk about 100%. Some of that stuff. But why don't we just kick it off with the alcohol conversation? So, Josh and Dan, I met Josh when I was 19 years old at Purdue. And Dan shortly thereafter. So they definitely know Party Angela.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just like talking about this podcast with you guys before we were recording, I was like, oh my God, there was that time and that time and that time. Mm-hmm. Remember all those times?
Sure.
Yeah.
And so for Josh, what do you think it was like? What did you observe when I decided to not drink anymore? Like what kind of went on in your mind about it?
Well, I think I initially thought, wow, this is a big change, because we've had so many years, so much fun together, so many amazing memories. And when you made this commitment, right, and you made this proclamation, you said, I'm going to tell my closest friends that I'm doing this. I was a little bit concerned at first, you know. I thought, wow, can she still be as fun?
Wow.
You know, and can I still have the kind of fun that I want to have with her? And I was really impressed watching like how committed you were to that, and just and with a lot of confidence, you know, just it was really impressive to me. I will say though that, you know, we've had just as much fun, if not more fun. It did not change our relationship. It didn't really change the way that you behaved around me. It's just when I ordered a glass of wine at dinner, you didn't order a glass of wine. You know, you chose something else, and I think it's been really a positive thing. I haven't seen a huge difference in our relationship dynamics as far as fun.
Yeah, that's great. That is the biggest thing. People think that drinking makes things fun. And I think the three of us have, you know, proven that not to be true. We have so much fun. Like, we just have to look at each other and we start laughing. But yeah, like, we're doing different things. Like, we've been waking up early, going on these hikes, having deeper conversations, you know, doing other things that don't revolve around drinking and stuff. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that, Josh.
Sure.
I actually didn't know that you thought had those thoughts about it not being fun anymore.
Well, yeah, just because we have such history, I think, together. And part of that, when we were much younger, was, you know, going out to the clubs and drinking and being kind of crazy. Now we're at a different place in our lives now, as, you know, older. But initially, I did think that a little bit, but it didn't, because it's a serious change, right? To say I'm going to exclude this from my life now. I really don't want that to be part of my life anymore. And I also this is something I didn't talk about, but I was a little bit nervous that you may think differently about me, because I don't drink a lot, but I do order wine at dinner once in a while, you know, and I don't overdrink. But I was also thinking like, oh wow, what is Angela thinking about me? Because I still do want to drink. I don't feel like I have any issues with that, right? And it was really, because you are such a good friend, you talk openly about what it means for you, but never any pressure about what if I should do it or shouldn't do it, right? So that, I think that was also a relief for me.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. You know, a lot of times when people change their relationship with alcohol and they say it to their friends get kind of worried, right? Like they say, well, I don't have a drinking problem, or, you know, I only drink in these situations. And they get all like automatically defensive because I think similar thoughts to what you have, like internally, like, oh, was she going to start monitoring me, or is she gonna make me do that, or
is there gonna be judgment about my drinking?
Right? Yeah, all that stuff. So that's interesting that you initially had that, and then, I don't. My own relationship with alcohol is for me to navigate, and, you know, I don't like hanging out with people that drink a lot. You know, like, it changes the conversations and the connections and stuff like that. But you are definitely not in that camp. So, yeah. What do you think, Dan?
Well, be like witnessing you guys going through that. I think that, I know you say your relationship hasn't changed in terms of fun and that, but I think in terms of the depth of your friendship and maybe getting to know each other even better, I think maybe that has changed, because removing that from, you know, that piece from the relationship, I think it just allows you to really get to know each other even better, I feel like. I mean, I don't drink now, but, you know, back in my 30s, I used to drink. And then when I stopped drinking, you know, I had a lot of the same fears and concerns that you guys had as well. Because I feel like also, you know, you kind of use alcohol as this social crutch, right? So it allows you to, like, be freer and, you know, communicate easier. But I don't know. I don't really think that's the case. And when I stopped drinking, I feel like, I it was more fun for me to not drink than to drink, because I remembered what was happening. I remembered what people talked about and told me. And, sometimes when you drink, you don't always remember everything quite so clearly.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and then, another big part of it for me is, you guys know I try to stay, kind of fit and healthy. So for me too, part of it is, part of that healthiness and just feeling good. The next day after I drink, I just would feel sluggish, and I didn't want to sacrifice a whole day of recovering from drinking and stuff. So, that's kind of it for me. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for sharing that.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about the success of our relationship over all this time? What do you think has been a key component to maintaining our long-term friendships?
That's a great question. I think one of the biggest things, you mentioned communication at the beginning of this, and I think that it really is about the investment that you make in each other. And what I mean by that is that investment in quality time. Even if it's just a phone call or a FaceTime. I know we all live apart from one another. We don't live in the same town, so it takes some effort, right, to coordinate it, but we make it happen. But to do these check-ins, to check in and see how we're doing, how our lives, our families, all that, it's so important, right? But for me, it's, I'm a very busy person as well. You are also very busy people, but to make sure that we've scheduled that quality time so that we can spend have some good laughs together, right? I think that's so important. So for me, it's the investment that you make, because if I love you guys, obviously you know that, and I love life with you. You're gonna make that happen. If you value that relationship, you are gonna make time for that.
We're really sorry. Dan's got some sort of notification going on in his computer while we're trying to record the podcast. Sorry about that. Yeah.
He's an important guy. He's always getting notifications.
See, another key component is, teasing each other and not taking it too seriously.
True.
Yeah, for sure.
True. I am often the butt of that.
Yes, it's true. It's true. Well, I agree with you, like the investment into it. So like making time for these trips is important. At least once a year, we've been trying to get together, catching up on the phone, investing in checking in if, there's a death or some other big thing going on in each other's lives, like checking in with that. I definitely think the investment in time is very critical, because we come together and it's just us focused on the three of us together, and we're not having a lot of other outside distractions. It's not, most of us are partnered now, but I think that's been really good for the three of us to have our own relationship, and spending time living apart kind of forces you to, you come in and it's like an immersion experience, and it's not like we're not taking it for granted because we live next door or in the same town. We're investing into the time. We're coming together. Yep, it's very intentional. So
you have to make the effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think communication is super important. I also think that I often have a tendency of setting expectations of people, and I think the thing that I've learned is that it's important to just accept people for who and what they are. And then also very important to have forgiveness.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You need to have forgiveness for yourself and for others. I think with long-term friendships like this or relationships, there's always, it's impossible not to have some kind of bump or something happen. It's just inevitable that there's going to be something that comes up, that somebody's going to do something to either hurt somebody or, do something that the other person didn't like. But it's important to communicate about that and be able to forgive yourself and the other person. And And just remember all the reasons that you love that person so much, and all the great things that they bring to your life, and the importance and significance that they bring.
Yeah. I think it's very special to have friends that have known you since you're teenagers all the way until, Dan's on the older side.
Okay,
He's crossed over.
I've crossed over to the dark side.
The halfway mark.
Are they going to see a picture of us?
They might.
He's still looking pretty good.
He does look really good, actually, yes.
He gets mistaken for the youngest one. And
it's true. He's also the most crazy one.
Yeah.
We were all talking yesterday about what we bring each other. Like, we're thinking, like, who are you in the Sex and the City lineup? Like, what's your identity and stuff? And that was an interesting conversation. But I was thinking, I actually didn't share this with you, but I feel like I'm the initiator. In it, I'm like, let's do this, and then like, let's meet me here. And
you're great at that.
I consider these guys my adventure guys, so like things that my husband doesn't really like to do, like a lot of physical exercise and like hiking and like some more adventure-y stuff. He doesn't like to do that, so it's nice to have friends that you can call on to get some of those needs met. So these guys are my big hiking guys. We went to the Alaska trip together. We've done some more camping stuff, my big hikes in North Carolina. These guys are always up for it. So
everybody needs a really good planning friend, a planning friend. And that is it. Danny and I can literally just be like, we'll sign up because we know Angela will plan an amazing trip. So and we're not asking her to do it. She likes to do it. So it's just been fun.
And we're game for anything.
Like they were talking about the food, thinking ahead for the food, like just packing sandwich materials, and like we just had yogurt in the hotel room. Those little details. But really it's very selfish because I just like to do what I like to do, right?
Well, it's selfish for us too.
Yes.
Because I like to just show up and not have to do any of the work. But on that same note too, I will say, if I'm going through a hard time or I need to talk about something troubling me, like both of them are always there, a phone call away, and they'll listen to me complain and whine. Sometimes they'll tell me it is my fault and I need to do something different, and I don't always want to hear that, but I think those are the things you get from having a long-term friendship like this.
I think authentic honesty, like just, we trust each other, that we're not, we know how to like navigate tricky situations or sensitive situations, and how to like suggest that, somebody might try something different or think about something differently. What do you think, Josh?
Well, we're also, in a unique situation here because we have our individual relationships with one another, but we're also kind of as a trio, right? And so what has been nice is some of those times in the past where we have had a bumpy road, like one of us can help facilitate for the other two. You know what I'm saying? So it's been nice because, like I know in the past you have acted as a little bit of a buffer and said, hey, okay, let's talk about this, guys. Like here, I can see both sides. I want to hear from both of you. You get us talking, and that might be unique, but if you have that opportunity, it's really, really special, But I also think, going back to the alcohol thing, one of the things that I did notice, I remember back when I probably did overdrink, back when I was younger, and not necessarily with you two, but I'm sure we had a few of these, where you do kind of, your inhibitions are lowered. You may say something or do something that you're going to regret, right? Or you may regret the next day. And you're like, what did I say? Like, I can't believe that, right? That just doesn't happen anymore. Of course, I'm not saying that I never say something that I regret or that I don't regret, but I'm just saying like alcohol hasn't influenced that, right? So typically, like when we have a conflict, it's super level-headed. We can talk about it. Of course, it can get emotional, but you don't have that factor of alcohol that can make things go sideways.
Yeah, yeah. Well, alcohol, even just like not in the moment of drinking alcohol, but when you drink alcohol and then like the next day, and if you're consistently over drinking, it adds extra drama to situations. Like your brain over dramatizes things, and you can't really navigate difficult situations when you're regularly drinking, and especially with the people you're in relationship with. Like your brain just, it doesn't remember things as clearly, and it adds a lot of drama and emotion to things that when it's not there at the baseline, you can see things and navigate things so much better.
And feel differently.
Yes.
Right? It's not just the brain. The alcohol, over drinking regularly, it affects you physically too, right? So you're going to feel differently in your body and stuff that's going to affect how you're showing up and how you're communicating.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good point, and it's not necessarily that I think because you stop drinking, now all of a sudden we have these amazing relationships. I think what ends up happening is it's a byproduct, right? Because you're bringing more of yourself into it.
Yes.
Right? You're more clear and you're more intentional, like we talked about, right? Communication improves.
You're bringing your true self.
Right.
Yeah, it's a more authentic, real. I mean, the conversations that we have are like deep soul extractions, like deep feelings, patterns in our families, in our own other relationships that we have outside of us. And then of course we keep it light too. It's not all like that. We had to shake off some heavy stuff yesterday on the hike and hug a tree. And hug a tree and get re-energized after that one. But I think being anytime you're authentically yourself without having a buffer of a drug or alcohol, it does enhance things, right?
Yeah.
And being honest with each other. Like, when I stopped drinking, sharing that, it was so important for me. We were talking about this on the hike yesterday. It's like when you're not your true authentic self and you're not sharing who you are, whether it's drinking or something else that is big for you, your people don't get to know you. And so then they are reflecting back to you things that may not be true about yourself. And then your relationship doesn't have that opportunity to really evolve and grow. And so for me, when I was first cutting back and changing my relationship with alcohol, I was sharing that with everybody because I wanted it to be known that that was important to me. And so therefore, they got to know me better. And then in that process, the relationship kind of changed, right? Like I'm changing, you guys are coming along for the ride. But I can't stress that enough, how important it is to just tell people the truth about what you're working on. I promise you they're not monitoring you and tracking you. Like, when I was first changing my relationship with alcohol, I did still drink occasionally. I went for a long term without it, and then I did have some moderately, and then ultimately decided to stop. But like when you were witnessing that, it's not like you were monitoring me, right?
No, I wasn't. And it's funny. I think I was more concerned about, how do I put this? Like, I didn't, like when I would order a glass of wine, I didn't want you to make you feel bad about that, if that makes sense. Like, not that you would be like jealous, like wanting that wine, but I just wanted to be mindful of your feelings too. And then I realized that, we all have our own relationships, right? With alcohol. And mine, I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on it. I'm an occasional drinker with dinner and whatnot. Wine is kind of my thing. And, I think I quickly realized that I'm not monitoring you, and you certainly weren't monitoring me. I never got any flack for that, and that's great. And so I think that eased some of my concern, but I certainly wasn't monitoring like, oh, did she just have a drink of alcohol?
Right.
What happened? Oh dear, that's gone. So no, I think people start thinking more about themselves almost.
Yes.
Like, oh, can I buy a bottle of wine when I'm with them at the store? Like, is that gonna be judged?
Yes. I've shared that so many times. When you're changing your own relationship with alcohol and you're around people that drink, I promise you they care more about their own drinking than yours.
It's so true.
So it's just getting back to like what I was saying about being authentic. It's just better for you to share that, so then you don't have to keep navigating questions and they make comments about drinking or question you. Like, you just get that out of the way up front, and then they can move on from it, because again, being authentic with who you are helps your relationships it grow in such a deeper way than keeping things at the surface. You know, do you have anything to say about that?
It's good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. What else? How do we have fun? What do you think? What do you think that brings to it?
You go, Danny.
How do we have fun, or what
Yeah.
does having fun bring to it?
Yeah, whatever.
I just think that it just helps me to not take things so serious, right? Just to like lighten up and just be silly and stupid. And I think maybe, you know, when you're guiding someone through their journey with alcohol, like it can be, you know, like heavy and hard and serious. So it's important to have that light, silly, just like have fun and not think about it all the time and let it really, you know, weigh on you so much.
Yeah. I was thinking about that on the hike yesterday. Like, it's just so not always about the alcohol, right?
Right.
Like, it's about learning about yourself and understanding yourself more. And when you can focus on that and like some of your deeper feelings and triggers that you get, you know, consistently, when you focus on what that is and trying to figure that out, the alcohol thing just gets, you know, it just kind of drops to the side. And then that's where we, you know, I say all the time, it's not about the alcohol. It's about why you're using the alcohol to fix things, make it better, make things feel easier, have fun. But when you kind of put that to the side and look at the deeper stuff, you know, your relationships, what you think about yourself, all of that kind of stuff, that's where the meat and the juice comes in.
Yeah.
And the real, like, you get to know yourself so much more. And that's where that authenticity comes through. And then you share that about yourself more.
And I think that's what's so great about our relationship is that we've known each other so long that we've seen us do the stupidest things that there's no, I can be however I want in front of you, as stupid or silly as I want, and it doesn't matter because there's no judgment. There's no, and so just, I think that's what allows us to have so much fun.
Yeah.
Is that I can just be whoever I want to be with you guys, and you all are on board with it.
And you guys are always so game. Like, I don't, you know, people who've been on retreats with me before or met me in person know that, you know, I like to tell people what to do sometimes. That's my coachness inside.
She's got us doing stuff all the time.
Oh my gosh. And so I make them pose for pictures and do crazy stuff. And they willingly do it sometimes. Not everything, but for the most part, they willingly do it. And then we just laugh and then we
we just know it keeps you happy. It makes you happy.
Really
you know? And
I love it when people do what I say.
Well, we don't want to look back and be like, God, I totally regret like not getting up there and walking on that log that we shouldn't be walking on, or you know, that kind of stuff. You know, no regrets, but no, we have such a good time, and you know, that had nothing to do with alcohol. I think that's the big thing is we didn't meet inebriated.
Right.
We ended up forming these great friendships. We weren't under any influence. Yeah, did we used to have some wine tasting trips and things like that? We have memories that are associated with alcohol, but the connections that we have with one another have nothing to do with alcohol, right?
Yeah.
So, and we do laugh a ton, and I think we also laugh a lot at ourselves. We're very good at that.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are really good at laughing at me too, but you know, you always need one in the group.
Yeah.
But yeah, to not take yourself so seriously.
Right.
You know, I think that really helps too.
And honestly, it would be interesting if alcohol would have stayed as prevalent in our relationships as it was back then. I don't know if we would be the long-term friends that we are still now today.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't think so, because I think about the things, the things that we do now. You know, like before it was, let's meet in Napa, right?
Sure.
Let's meet in Vegas.
Yeah.
Let's do, you know, like it's definitely more centered around the alcohol.
Right.
Yeah.
Obviously our friendship was still there and we still know how to laugh and have fun, but it was more centered. But now, since I stopped drinking, I'm like, let's get up and do a sunrise hike. Let's meet me for this 10-mile hiking race. Let's go climb some ice in Alaska. Like, you know, it's the intent, the activities are different.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting. I don't know.
No.
We definitely wouldn't be waking up at 5:30 in the morning and then be convincing them to come on a podcast and talk about relationships.
Right. And we would, I don't think we would share in have talked about
Yeah.
the things we've talked about and gotten to know each other as well as we do.
Yeah.
It would have
Yeah.
stayed more surfacey,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
have known myself
Right.
as much
Yeah.
as I do
Yeah.
over the years. And so then those deeper conversations
Wouldn't be able to
probably
happen because we wouldn't be able to know that for ourselves to
Yeah.
share it with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you guys think is important in maintaining long-term friendships?
Well, we mentioned communication.
Mhm.
And we mentioned being intentional with
Mhm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Being authentic.
Yep. Being authentic. Being very, you mentioned this, Dan, but just like being open,
Mhm.
you know, to difficult conversations. Because, you know, Danny and I, we just recently went through something,
Mhm.
right? And we've been working through it, and it's taken some time.
Mm-hmm.
But we've gotten through it, right? And I think the key, at least for me, and I think you feel the same way, but the key is that we have such longevity in our relationship. You know, you mentioned 25 years.
Mhm.
When you've known somebody for 25 years, you've known them, at least me, like when I was this, you know, dumb kid. And now, like, here we are, middle-aged adults. We've been through each other's lives. You know, we've been intertwined with each other's lives for so long, right? Those friends are worth it. They're worth the investment, the communication, being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Conflict is inevitable, like you mentioned. You're always going to have those ups and downs, but it's taking a pause, realizing that, you know, yeah, I mess up, other people mess up, like, you know, having the commitment and the dedication to, I want to preserve this, right? And then you can always kind of use that foundation that you had to kind of get you through those difficult times. So
Yeah, I think that
was a long answer.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no,
but
no, it's like I think it's being brave. You know, like having you guys are brave and sharing how you feel, you know, and like we're willing to be very uncomfortable and sharing, you know, some like, I don't know, some things that happened that didn't feel great, you know, and how that made us feel or each person feel. And like being brave and sharing that with the other person because we do trust each other ultimately. Even when there's like could be a conflict, we trust each other enough to share how we feel. And I have not witnessed anybody taking that as like a weapon against anybody else, right? Like we don't fight like that. Like it's like, you know, I talk about stop, notice, and process, take a pause, when emotions are high, intelligence is low, right? And I think, you know, of course there's been heated moments, but being able to calm down, process some of that, have some space, and then revisit things even multiple times and being vulnerable with each other and how they feel and being patient to work through that has been pretty critical. Yeah.
Well, and I think this is probably a selfish take on it, but every time I go through one of those situations, and like the situation that Josh and I recently are going through, like I learn about myself and I grow from that experience. So as hard as it is and as uncomfortable as it is for me, I come out on the other side a better person, or at least I feel like a better person in my relationships.
Yeah.
Because I learn about myself and how I can be better and show up better for the important people in my life, you know?
I think that's a really good point. I think we take responsibility, right, for our shit. We don't just 100% blame the other person.
Oh, no.
We're like, we are both playing a part here. This is the part that I've played. This is a part you played. And I love that you're reflective like that, you know? Like, not a lot of people do that. I think that's probably a really key component so that we do trust each other. Like, you sharing, like, okay, this is a pattern that I'm seeing within myself or whatever. Like that makes us trust you as more of a human, right? And when you don't have that, it's difficult. Like there's no reparations, there's no like understanding. Like if there's a fault or something, you guys are like, yeah, this is what I did. And this is what I did. And so you can trust each other that we're not perfect. Right. And that we're all going to make mistakes, but you're like hearing the other person and what they need to say and being reflective on yourself is very, very important in navigating difficult situations because we all play a part. Yeah.
It's me.
Hi. I'm the problem. It's me. I told them that I send that Taylor Swift song to my clients when it's like, hello. What are you thinking right now? They're like, no, you don't. I'm like, I really do. That's the levity, though, right? Like, we should laugh at ourselves more.
Yes,
sure.
Of course.
Well, what else, guys? Anything else you feel like they should know about friendships, navigating their relationship with alcohol in friendships? Any final thoughts, comments? You want to tell them anything about me?
Oh, where do we start? She's just as crazy and hilarious.
And bossy.
In her personal life.
And bossy.
Sometimes bossy. But we need to be told what to do once in a while.
Yes.
I think
she is our queen in our group, you know,
yeah,
despite what Danny might call me. But, no, I think this has been fun. You know, this is my first podcast. Is this your first podcast too?
Probably.
Wow, it's my first podcast too.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little bit nervous, but you know, hey, when we're talking about friendships, nothing to be nervous about. You know, we have a great friendship here, and I think just the fact that we're talking about it, and the fact that, you know, we're talking to individuals that want to drink less, you know, and have made that proclamation, and that it might seem scary, and you might wonder how it will affect your friendships, but wondering's not going to do anything. You've got to figure it out for yourself and see what happens. And you'll probably be surprised, you know, that I think your friends will be there to support you and understand kind of what you need and why you're doing it. And just maybe not to worry so much.
Yes, you got to try it to find out, right? Instead of thinking about it all the time and wondering how everything's going to play out. Just stop projecting the worst case scenario into the future and just listen to your guts on what you want to do with your own relationship with alcohol. Be honest with your friendships, and magic can still happen, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Any parting thoughts, comments?
I think forgiveness.
Yeah.
Just remember, forgive yourself.
Yes.
It's going to be tough. You know, life is hard. So, you know, these journeys that you're going on and trying to make these changes, you know, be kind to yourself. Remember to be silly and have fun with it too. And remember to forgive the people around you too.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This is super fun.
It was fun.
It's a pleasure.
All right. We'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Wasn't that amazing? Thank you so much, Josh and Dan, for coming on the podcast. And if you guys want to check out my retreats where I will show you the best time and take really good care of you, go to the link in the show notes. We have one in December in Cancun, and we have a few spots left. Can't wait to see you then. Talk to you soon. I want you to check out AngelaMascenik.com/AliveAF. You know what it's like to have a desire to cut back on your drinking, right? You start to read books, listen to podcasts, try things, but you might not be able to yet put all the pieces and suggestions together in a way that actually makes sense and works for you. You might struggle with beating yourself up after an overdrink. You might get frustrated with yourself when you take 2 steps forward and then another 2 steps back, and get overwhelmed with what's right and wrong about your relationship with alcohol. Your friends tell you that you should be able to have just 1 drink, and it isn't a big deal. You might be white-knuckling through urges and resisting instead of peacefully processing them. And you might struggle with your identity as someone who has enjoyed having a lot of wine or alcohol in your life. It's around you all the time. It's what you do and who you are. Well, after 5 years of successfully coaching hundreds of women through these struggles, I have created the Alive AF membership, where women like you can learn the basics on what it takes to cut back and reach your goals with alcohol, whether it is to just drink less or totally quit. And when you join, you will get the exact framework I used to change my own relationship with alcohol and still use today, that has led me to be alcohol-free for over 5 years. You're going to get access to my resources, videos, and worksheets that have been proven to change and reduce how much you drink. Every day you can ask questions, share your obstacles, and get coaching and direct support on the challenges you will face with love and no judgment. Also, you will get immediate access to workshops like uncovering your alcohol identity and changing it, how to say no to things that don't support your new identity or life or goals, aka boundaries. A workshop called Creating Emotional Agency, and another one, How to Manage Your Mind to Succeed at Your Goals, and more. Every month we have a brand new workshop. These workshops are filled with step-by-step prompts and instruction to help you create the exact relationship with alcohol that is best for you. My mission and vision for Alive AF is to be a hub of support and resources for women to come and learn how to do what is best for them and becoming more alive in the process. When you join, you're going to learn how to take care of yourself better, how to feel good and become more alive and go after the life that you really want. I want this membership to be affordable and an easy solution where you can get all the help you need in one simple place whenever you need it. So, no need to go read another book, find a new podcast, attend a free webinar, or go down the path of piecemealing it all together. Join Alive AF and have it all there in one place for you anytime you need it. So, go to angelamascenik.com/AliveAF and enrollment is open right now. See you inside.